K Street is the name for the neighborhood where most big lobbying firms, most big corporations in Washington are based. It started in about the 1970s. Today, not all companies are based on K Street, but it's sort of considered the term of art for the lobbying community, just like Madison Avenue or Wall Street in New York. The book my brother Luke and I are writing about is called The Wolves of K Street. It's about the rise of corporate power and lobbying in Washington. It really shows how corporations and big money and their lobbyists have taken over Washington and changed public policy in a way that helps corporate America but hurts everyone else. There's certainly nothing wrong with corporations lobbying. Corporations and any individual are allowed under the First Amendment to petition their government. The problem that we see today is that companies and their lobbyists are really the only people who have power and influence in Washington, that the other side is not represented. So that many times a member of Congress, when they're trying to write a bill or decide how to vote, they're only talking to corporate lobbyists and not the other side. So only corporate America has their thumb on the scale, and that makes things unfair for regular people. Companies hire lobbyists to come to DC to change regulations, to hurt their competitors, where they can fight things out in Washington, DC with lobbyists, rather than the free marketplace where they should be, to push regulations back on their opponents or to win government contracts. Corporate America has way more influence than anyone else in Washington. We spoke to about 100 corporate lobbyists and asked them, hey, who's your biggest opponent in Washington? Who are you fighting against? And not one of them said they were fighting against a labor union, an environmental group, or a citizens group. From the 1970s, 80s, 90s, and a little bit of the 2000s, there was a pro-business center in Washington where Republicans and Democrats sort of agreed to come together and promote a pro-business agenda. That was both Democrats like Bill Clinton and Republicans like George Bush. And I think they promoted lots of policies, lowering taxes on the middle class, free trade, which helped the economy for a while, welfare reform. There were some other very positive benefits of that pro-business alliance. However, in the last few years, that alliance is now fraying as both Republicans and Democrats seem to be turning on corporate America. In terms of lobbying tactics, we're moving to an era where grassroots is far more effective than traditional relationship lobbying. Companies are actually just changing the way they lobby. Instead of hiring lobbyists to come to DC to butter up members of Congress with campaign donations or steak dinners, instead they're going out and conducting campaigns in the states to rally their consumers or their employees or their constituents. But it really takes Americans on their own to reach out and talk to their members of Congress and try to get their member of Congress to do things that benefit the American people and not big corporations. A member of Congress exists to get reelected. And so a member of Congress will do whatever they think their constituents support. So if grassroots organizations can get 50% or 51% of a member of Congress's constituents to support a position or oppose a position, that's what the member of Congress is going to do. So grassroots lobbying, grassroots activism is now, I think, the most important game in town.